Hey, what's up, Guardians? TBL here, and we're back with part 2 of our discussion of the Game Informer interview surrounding the new information coming in the Taken King. This week has been an absolute nut house in terms of new info, new videos, new screenshots, and all kinds of really cool things that we're going to be getting. And in this video, we're going to be covering the rest of the big changes that I didn't quite have enough time to get to in that first video. Eyes up, Guardian. The hype train is about to begin. Alright, the last thing we talked about last time was the fact that Vanguard and Crucible marks are going to be getting phased out. They're going to be getting replaced by a unified currency called Legendary marks. Now, I didn't really get too much time to talk about it, but I am very happy about that change. I don't really, it's great to not have to grind out either Vanguard stuff and, bounties and whatnot, and strikes in the Dragon Strike playlist, or whatever new strike playlist we're probably going to be getting with Taken King. And then have to go and grind out Crucible marks to buy Crucible gear by playing in the Crucible. Having a unified system where you can just have one type of mark where you can buy Vanguard gear or Crucible gear is a very, very good change in my opinion. Definitely some good stuff there. And also, to sort of piggyback off of that, we're no longer forced to wear class items when we're leveling up New Monarchy, Dead Orbit, or Future Warcult, any of the factions that you generally like to level yourself up with. That, my friends, is a massive change. The way it's going to happen now is you basically go to the representatives of those three factions, Executor Hideo, Arak Jalal, Lakshmi. You go to the three of them and you pledge to their faction. And then from there you can go about collecting quests and faction-specific bounties to raise your reputation rank with those factions. No longer do you have to just, simply wear a class item while you're playing the game normally. Now, each of these factions is going to basically have their own miniature storyline between quests and bounties that will help you raise your reputation. And that, in my opinion, ties in perfectly with something I was talking about in the previous video. The immersion that's going to be coming in the Taken King. They're really expanding the role of NPCs in this game and really fleshing out the story. Bungie is really working towards an effort of turning Destiny into turning it into the big expansive world that we were promised 2 years ago. And I am absolutely loving it. I can't wait. Now, also worth noting in terms of factions, you can turn in material items to raise your reputation. Stuff like weapon parts and whatnot can be turned into a specific faction to just raise your reputation rank with them, sort of like how you can do with the speaker. Another good example of this would be turning in the old Vanguard and Crucible commendations for reputation points, or turning in the tokens of flight and whatnot to Varix for points with the House of Judgment. Now, this is great in multiple ways. One, being able to grind up your faction reputations in another manner by just getting rid of stuff you really don't need is good. And two, while it hasn't really been completely confirmed yet, being able to turn in weapon parts for faction reputation possibly means that they might be phasing weapon parts out as a whole. Or at the very least, giving us a way to purchase or trade for them the same way we can with planetary materials. Either way, I'm super psyched about that. As you guys no doubt know, I ran out of weapon parts literally the moment House of Wolves came out. So I'll definitely be looking forward to hearing more on that. Alright, next up, a new system is being put in place that's going to essentially record all of the shaders that you own. And once you get a new shader, it'll basically be added to this list in the system, and you can just go to this system and select it at any time. Also, this system will show you all the shaders that you have yet to get your hands on, and it'll tell you how to get them. This is a fantastic change. This is basically allowing Bungie to lower the amount of items in your current inventory and taking up your vault space, giving you essentially a one-stop shop where you can check all the shaders that you've got, equip whatever you want, and see the ones that you have yet to pick up. Now that, in my opinion, is huge. It's something the community has been asking for a very long time. And guess what? They're doing the same thing with emblems. So basically, we're going to have a new library system in place for your shaders and your emblems so they no longer take up inventory and vault space. Fantastic change. Alright, now moving on here, some of the new exotics are tied into their own quest lines. And while they didn't really say too much more than that about the subject, I'm guessing it's going to be more exotics along the lines of Thorn and Bad Juju, where they have these big arching stories with quests and bounties that you have to go through to pick those weapons up. I'm perfectly fine with that. Oh, and speaking of new exotics, hallelujah, we are getting a heavy railgun-styled fusion rifle. Let that sink in for a second. I cannot wait to see more of that bad boy. Alright, let's see here. We're also getting 8 new Crucible maps, which is always fantastic, and we're getting some brand new Crucible game modes, which look really fun, to be honest. Also for Crucible, we're getting weekly Crucible and Trials bounties. You're going to get about 5 per week, and if you complete all 5 of those weekly bounties, you'll get access to a 6th bounty that has a chance to give you a legendary or an exotic, which honestly is fantastic incentive to play the Crucible. And to wrap up the Crucible section, we're getting some sort of mercy rule, so that when matches are overly stacked and one team has no chance of winning, they'll just end the match right there. Alright, now the last big thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is something Bungie said concerning the endgame for the Taken King. As a quick paraphrase here, they basically stated that after you finish the basic story for the Taken King, it's going to open up a bunch of new in-game content that, get this, is going to connect with and explore previous in-game content, including the Vault of Glass, potentially expanding the story of Caver and his fire team, and maybe even the raid itself. That's mind-blowing to me. And it is, of course, the exact sort of thing I want to hear from Bungie right about now. The Taken King really needs an expansive in-game session. Once people get to 40 and they can run through all the content, we really need something to do. And Bungie taking the approach of expanding the stories of previous content, stuff like the Dark Below, and especially the Vaults of Glass. I cannot even begin to express how excited I am about that. It's a really good change in my opinion, and it's something that Destiny has really needed. So, you can officially color me hyped for the Taken King. We've got a little more than a month to go, and I honestly can't wait now. Now, I will be the first to admit that a lot of the changes that we've discussed over the past 2 Game Informer videos are stuff that should have been included in Destiny from the start. But with that being said, with everything that we've got right now between Destiny, The Dark Below, House of Wolves, and everything that we now know we're going to be getting in the Taken King, with more and more information coming out each passing day, it's really looking like it's worth the price tag. Well, at least for me. But then again, I've already invested a ton of time in Destiny, so you may have a different opinion, and I hope you do. And if you do, leave it in the comment section below. What do you guys think of all these crazy, fantastic changes coming to Destiny? Are you happy with them? Are you unhappy with them? Can't wait to find out. But alright, that about wraps up part 2 of our discussion of the recent Game Informer interview with Bungie concerning the Taken King. If you guys missed part 1, I'll leave a link to it in the description box below, or maybe I'll put an annotation link somewhere in this video. But alright, if you guys like what you saw here, do feel free to check out my channel where we'll have a ton more Destiny videos coming out soon. Anyways, it's gonna be it for me now. As always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.